everyone. So we're going to work on a winter art project. It involves snowflakes. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to draw a snowflake. If you want to pause me and get your whiteboard and marker to give it a try, you could do that. It's a good idea to practice this before we put it on our paper. You should have your watercolor paper here, and this is special paper, so we'll want to be careful when we work on it. So let me show you how to do a snowflake. So snowflakes usually have, let's look at how many branches they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They usually have 6 branches. And here's how you make those. So you draw one line, and then draw one that crosses it. And then you're going to draw a third line that crosses it. And you want your third line to also cross right in that middle spot. So I'm going to go in the middle of here and go like that, straight across. Okay? So let's practice that part first. So let me show you again how to do that part. So one line going up and down, and then you're going to do like a diagonal slide. And then you're going to do another diagonal slide, and it's going to go kind of right through that middle part. Okay? So even those kind of look like snowflakes, just like that. And then you can add some decorations. And so snowflakes look all different ways, but one way to make them is to draw these little pointy arrows. So I do, it's almost like, remember our alligator signs, like that? It's like the alligator sign, and the point will be pointing in towards the middle. So do a point like that. And the point, just draw a line in, bump that line, and back out. Bump that line, back out. Bump that line, back out. See how I keep doing that with my points, and they all bump that middle line and go back out. Okay, and then you're going to do that again. Bump the line, back out. Bump the line, back out. It's diagonal lines on either side of that bigger branch. And then you have a snowflake. Okay, so it's kind of like the tip of an arrow. I just go and stop on the line and go back out. Stop on the line, go back out. Stop on the line, back out. Stop on the line, back out. Another way you could do it, let me erase one of these and show you. If doing the diagonal lines is a little bit tricky, you could do, okay, so first get your first line, cross it, cross it. You could do straight lines. It's another way to do it, is just to add some straight lines. You could do a snowflake that looks like that. It also looks like a snowflake. If you wanted to get fancy, you could add some lines right here in the middle. Like that. Okay, so practice some snowflakes, either on your whiteboard or just a scrap piece of paper. Because what's going to happen next is tricky. Have you ever written with white on a white piece of paper? It's hard to see. So we're going to either use white, or you could use silver if you want to. So use white or silver to draw in here. I might use silver because I think silver might be a little easier to, maybe I'll do both. I'm going to try both, and we'll do an experiment and see, okay? So first I'll do my white, and then I'll do my silver. I'm going to turn on my light here because you want to have good lighting so you can see your white crayon as you color with it. And if you have the right lighting, you can see the white. It's a little bit tricky, but what we'll eventually do is we're going to paint with watercolors, and then the watercolor won't get on the white crayon and we'll be able to see it. So I'm going to draw snowflakes kind of just all over my paper. Maybe I'll add 3 or 4. So let me just get started with this and see how it goes. Okay, I can see my white crayon. It's a little bit tricky, but I can see it. But I have to move my hand out of the light a little bit. So I'm gonna do some that are white, and then I'll do some with my silver. And you can do the same if you want to. Or if it feels really tricky to do the white, you can use silver. So you won't really be able to see my snowflake, I don't think. I'm going to hold it up for you really closely. I don't think you can see it, but it's right in here and you can feel it. So let me do one in silver. So there's a white one that I made, and I'll do one in silver. And silver would be really pretty too. Silver's like the color of ice. Sometimes we think of ice in the color of silver. And you can add as many of these little arrow parts to your snowflake as you want. On this one, the first one I made, I did 2 little arrow parts. And on this snowflake, I did 3 little arrow parts. And that looks kind of cool. I like the look of that. I'll show you it in just a second. So it looks like that. That's kind of cool looking. Okay, so you're going to use your white or your silver to make snowflakes. And then you'll kind of have to look in the light to see if you're using white to see where it is, and then move on to your others. Okay, so draw some. I'm going to do 1, 2, I might do 5 snowflakes on my paper. You kind of want to fill up your paper with snowflakes. So however many you want to do. If you want to do them bigger, if you want to do them smaller, that's okay. But fill up your paper with snowflakes. So pause me, draw your snowflakes, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, so you should have your snowflakes drawn. You can see I did some in silver, and then this spot that you can't really see is where there's some white snowflakes on my paper. So the next step here is to get your watercolors out, and we're going to paint using wintry sky colors. So like a light blue, light pink, light purple, those types of colors. So I'm going to first start out with a bluish purple. I'm just going to not going to get too much on my brush because I want it to stay a light color, okay? And you're just going to paint, and you can paint right over top of your snowflakes. Oh, I need a lot more water. You can even, if you want to just get your, use your brush and get your paper wet first. Sometimes that's another good technique. And we're going to want our papers to be fairly wet for this one because we're going to do a special technique at the end. Where we add a little bit of salt and it makes it look very pretty. So I'm going to use this blue, and then at some point I'm going to mix in a little bit of purples and maybe some pink. I just want a real light, beautiful winter sky background. And I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm trying to get over this one snowflake so I can hold it up and show you. See if you can see that so far. Do you see how my snowflake is showing up? That it was in white and now it's showing up. I painted right over it with my watercolors and it shows right up. And so now I'm going to add some pink in here. Just going to do real light painting. Pinks and purples and blues. Give it some light wintry colors. Just picture kind of like that moonrise color, like a nice light pale sky. Okay, so I'm going to have you pause me and use those colors. And, oh, you can't really see that very well, can you? Let me turn back off my light. See if you can see a little bit better. There, a little bit better. It's hard for you to see. But I'm using some just light, pale colors here. Pinks and blues. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit darker than it is right now, so I have to get some more paint. But you go ahead too and paint yours. Pinks, blues, purples, some light colors. Okay, make your winter sky. So pause me, go ahead and work on that, and then I'll see you back in a few. Hey everyone. Okay, so I've got mine here. It's a little bit hard for me to hold up, but you can see the snowflakes are showing through. It's a very pale color. The next step, and you want to get to this step while your paper still is wet, and you can even add on a little bit more extra water if you want. And then what you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle, maybe it's a good idea to put this in your hand first. You're going to sprinkle salt onto your paper. And then you'll let it dry with the salt on here. Okay? And then after it dries, you're going to brush the salt off. You don't want a ton of salt, but just a sprinkling of salt. Okay? And then let it dry. Once your paper dries, brush off the salt, and you'll notice you have a really neat texture. It does something neat to the paint, and it'll make it look really pretty. So just sprinkle salt around, not a ton, just a dusting of salt. Okay? So I'm going to let my paper dry here with this. Oh, there's salt all over now. I'm going to let my paper dry here with the salt. You can sprinkle your salt, let it dry just in that place. When you notice there's no more water and it feels dry, check out your paper, brush off your salt, and you have a beautiful piece of art that you can hang somewhere. Happy winter!